Welcome to Kiki's Lounge Room. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about my top favorite emerging artists. When I say emerging, I mean ones that I've fallen in love with, and they could have been ones that have been in the industry for 10 years and made it overnight, or could still be trying to emerge and kind of like break through, and others who are just very recent in their I guess music endeavors. So yeah, I'm not really good with on-screen stuff at the moment, so sorry if this is a little awkward. Um, but yeah, so starting with my first one, Tommy Richman. So when I first heard him, he kind of felt like a Justin Timberlake kind of, especially with some of the things that he talks about and kind of like this F-boy persona, or at least that's what it feels like. But he's a lot more funky in terms of his sounds, and I do think he is a lot more in like the 70s and 80s era when it comes to like the vibes of it, and he does put a modern twist on it, which I really like. Million Dollar Baby and Devil is a Lie are always a vibe, and I love them so much. Like, I think one thing that you'll notice in this list is that a lot of this is kind of artists who have put a bit more of a spin on their genre, or are kind of making an ode back to inspirations from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So very much inspired by those before them. Oh my god. Okay, so if you guys see fruit flies, I'm growing tomatoes in my room. I just let them be. They're my roommates for now. They still have to pay rent. We still have to figure out some type of deal with that. I don't know what's happening. But yeah. Yeah. I think one thing that I love about Tommy Richman is that if I'm doing work on my laptop, in the middle of the night and it comes on, I'm I'm in my nightgown, I've got my hair in a mess. I look nasty. Definitely not in the mood to vibe, but when it comes on, I feel like a Victorian child listening to dance music for the first time and just being amazed by it, and kind of like, yeah, this is the vibe. This is what my life has been leading up to. Okay, it's not that serious, but I do very much love to jam to him. He's just really good for it. And in saying that, he's got this kind of disco-esque music. So it feels very disco-y, kind of like, like the Jacksons, like Michael Jackson's little band that he had when he was younger, reminds me of that. But I mean, his music, Temptations, is so groovy and funky, definitely inspired by the 70s and 80s, so you should definitely have a look at that. And yeah, so the next one is less of a vibe for me, but I still really like it as something generic to put on in the background. Not saying that he is generic, but Benson Boone. He kind of feels like a less yassified version of Harry Styles, if that makes sense. Like he's if Harry Styles wasn't queer, if that makes sense. I don't know how to say it like in the straightest way possible. Anyway, he's kind of bringing that romantic genre back, like the love songs. He does feel like very much, he did come from X Factor or like American Idol or something like that. And I do feel like I see a lot of like influence in terms of like being this romantic love swinger, if that makes sense. Not as in anyway, I'm not even gonna bother explaining that. Again, side note, I listened to him for the first time last year, like at the end of last year, and I had like made a playlist, and I think the reason why I like him so much is because it does remind me of that road trip that I went on. And I think that's the best thing that you could possibly do on a vacation or road trip, is listen to a song all the time, or a certain artist, so that every time you do hear that, you think of that vacation. And there's something like so amazing about that, because your senses have a way of taking you back, especially sound, but I think more so smell. Smell is a lot more powerful in that way. But yeah, that's just like a little tip if you want to make a vacation kind of outlive that temporary time that you've gone for. This is a way to kind of bring it into the rest of your life, if that makes sense, because you'll always remember it and associate it with it. Anyway, that was a little weird rant. Going on, the next one is Sarah Kinsley. So I'm not exactly sure how long she's been in the industry, but she has a fair bit of music out. I really like her vocals and like the conceptual construction of her lyrics. So a lot of the ideas are just really beautiful. I think one line that really resonated with me is when she said that, you know, she's gonna let it pass. She can be the villain in the next life. She's not gonna give herself that satisfaction now because that's not her. And I think that's such a sweet way of thinking about things, especially if you do happen to be experiencing some, you know, remorse or resentfulness towards someone. It's a very cathartic thing to think, I'll get them next time, and I'm not gonna bother my whole life worrying about this, you know? Yeah. But her vocals, I don't know, the way, the softness and the sweetness, it genuinely feels like she was a celestial body that is singing down to earth and is kind of sharing that voice with us, kind of like if the stars could sing. I don't really know if that makes sense, but to me it really feels like she just has such a beautiful, sweet, saccharine voice. And yeah, I think if you're a Mitski fan, I definitely had my fair share of Mitski loving, and I think she's a bit like Mitski, but probably more so in the dance genre. She's more upbeat, although in concept she's kind of similar, if that makes sense. The next one is very, very new, but they've been doing live performances for a while now, and they are called Luvcat. And I genuinely don't really know how to explain this. It's kind of like vintage feminism. I don't know how that really makes sense to you, but if you check them out, you'll kind of get what I mean, as in vintage feminism. So I found them when they initially released Matador, and I felt like it was a great vibe for like modern feminism, but in a very aesthetically pleasing way. So there's a lot of world building that we see, and this is going to be for another artist or band that I bring up as well. The world building is very, very strong, and they very much string it along for this one. So they've just released their second single, which is He's My Man, and that is actually a murder ballad. Yeah, a murder ballad. And I, you know, of course don't condone misandry, and I don't think it's at all preaching that. It's kind of like this obsessive behavior, like, you know, just being obsessed with your partner in a way that is unhealthy and horrible for the both of you. Kind of like that toxic relationship, and we definitely see that with He's My Man, and even Matador. You know, I think it goes through a lot of toxic relationships that we see. So yeah, definitely check them out if you want to kind of have world building with your music. It's really something that I've only just discovered that artists did, like world building. There's been characters and personas, but this world building is just, I don't know, there's something really satisfying when they do it, and they do it well. Next one is second last for my favorites, and it's very obvious who it would be: Chappell Roan. I love Chappell because she feels like the pop queen that has come to save us. She has brought all of her beats, all of her club music, all of the enthusiasm she could possibly have, and she's just put it into her music. And she's kind of gracing us with that as well. I do want to do another side video on Chappell on something else, but that's for another time. But I feel like she's giving us back dance music. It feels like it's been a really long time since we've had dance music, because like for the last 10 years or so, I feel that we've had like pop music has gone from like the club vibes and like upbeat hits to more melancholy and mellow music. So Billie Eilish is definitely someone that I think of in terms of that, and she kind of creates the scene for pop music, I think, at the moment, especially with being so successful. So it's kind of hard to deny that she doesn't. But yeah, I don't really feel like grooving when I hear Billie Eilish's music. Not saying that it's not good music, but I just miss being able to dance to music, especially because, I don't know, there's something so fun about it. And Chappell does that. I found Chappell back in like January or February of this year, just before Good Luck Babe. Like literally, I think she was teasing it 3 days before. And I remember seeing her and being like, wow, this is like, I haven't heard something like this for a long time, especially for a new artist. It's just really refreshing to see that type of music coming out, and very inspired by like 70s and 80s synth sounds. But yeah, it's just, you can understand why she blew up, because her music is just electrifying in a way that is indescribable. Like, it's so contagious as well. Like, it's so hard not to sing along with Chappell Roan, and I'm happy we're getting that back in the music industry, and I'm hoping that, she continues with this career despite the hardships happening at the moment. The very last one, and my favorite out of all the artists and emerging artists that I've seen this year, is The Last Dinner Party. Sorry. I'm sorry if you heard that. Let me put this drawer in. The Last Dinner Party is like if goddesses of the past came together, saw modern society, and kind of reflected on it, and were kick-ass inspired by like the 80s and 70s. I don't know how to explain, like, there's really no other way to say it. It honestly feels like they were witches back in their past lives, and I mean that as a compliment as well, in just that they're so ethereal as well. So the best way to describe The Last Dinner Party is being very maximalist, but in the best way possible. So they're very much, they world build like crazy, and this is why I've fallen in love with them so much. I'm very much inspired by them. A lot of my style at the moment is inspired by them. Yeah, there's something just gorgeous about it. I've got a few things that I wanted to talk about. I love their references to literature, history, and mythology. So that's something that, as a English and history major, I absolutely love. And they're just like little sneaky bits as well. It's not too in your face, except for Caesar on a TV screen. That one is very much like in your face when it comes to like references. But I don't know, there's something about them so effortlessly putting references into their pieces as like little Easter eggs. They're very much inspired by, I know that Emily, who is like, I saw them live, so incredibly talented. Emily is inspired a lot by, I believe, St. Vincent, and a lot of like the Slits, if I got that right. Just a lot. Like they've taken inspiration from so many places, but they're also prominently compared to Florence and the Machine, Hosier, and Kate Bush. So those are the main ones. In saying that, Luvcat is actually opening for them, so they're similar in vibes. If you like The Last Dinner Party and are looking for something else, Luvcat is great, and vice versa. They kind of go hand in hand. I looked up how people were kind of defining them or identifying them as a genre, and someone said Baroque pop. I think that's a really odd string of words, and the thing that's odd about that is the fact that it is so accurate to what they want to achieve as a band and what they have achieved. So they very much do create this Baroque-esque kind of aesthetic, and we see that a lot in their music in a way that is very poppy and definitely you can dance to. Here are my notable mentions for this year. So, Sabrina Carpenter, of course, is very much a great dance vibe, especially for summer. She is bringing back kind of like the summer vibes. It kind of reminds me of when like Harry Styles' Watermelon Sugar came out, and it was kind of like the hit of the summer. It gives me the same vibe as that. The only thing that I don't really like about Sabrina's music is that there's a lot of comparisons to other women, especially like exes or future women. That personally makes me quite uncomfortable. Mainly because I don't think any woman should be tearing down another for the sake of their own success. And it feels like there's a lot of spite there, and you know, it's good to be candid about it. But yeah, I don't like the normalizing of it. It kind of makes it's discomforting, to say the least. This next one is, I think everyone's heard it at least once. Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars' Die With a Smile. It's very classical in the way that it's bringing back classic old day romance, and I really love this. We've been missing it for a while. The costuming, the aesthetic, the harmonizing. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know, nothing really needs to be said for this one. It kind of speaks for itself, and I think it does speak for itself. So let's move on. This next one is an Aussie band from the 80s. I actually grew up listening to them, and they're called In Excess. I really like In Excess for when I want those sweet, affirming rock songs, but they're not just spite. You know, a lot of them are filled with so much love as well, love for their partners, and it's something really sweet that I love listening to. Especially as I get older, I really like their slower songs as well. But also, since I grew up with it, it's probably a very nostalgic thing for me at the moment. A big thing is that my dad introduced me to them, and I am rekindling with him. So this is quite a big thing for me, and I think this is my way of kind of reconnecting as well on a different wavelength, if that makes sense. So yeah, very much a nostalgic vibe for me, but I love them a lot. This last one was made 3 years ago, and it's not really a song in particular, but rather a short film that an artist made. It's Jack Stauber's Opal. And you know that like DVD thing that you used to see where it'd bounce from like different sides of the screen? That's my head is empty, and that's all that's been in it. It's just cleared space just so that it can bounce around like that. This short film is only 12 minutes and has so many incredible things about it. Like, I'm surprised it hasn't won any more awards than it has, but it's really crazy just how accurate and like significantly detailed it is. I don't think that I'll do an analysis on it. I don't want to, because someone made a really good analysis, and I feel like if it's perfect, why reinvent the wheel? Why redo that when someone's already done an incredible job and take that satisfaction away from their hard work? So I'm gonna link it below, because it's really, guys, you need to have a look at it, especially if you want to look at Jack Stauber's works more. This is definitely something that is, people have said, are his magnum opus, and I kind of agree with that. It's hard to believe that he did a lot of it on his own. There's like 3 main songs, and then there's also obviously smaller snippets of things as well. I'm really obsessed with it. I think it's just so meticulously and detailed. So you definitely should check out Opal by Jack Stauber. It's only 12 minutes, so give it a go. It is strange, it is weird, it is amazing. It is so smart. So definitely give it a go if you can. I don't really know how to end videos. I'm still figuring that out, so bear with me. But I am really interested to know who's found this, who you are, and who you're listening to lately. Has there been anyone on repeat for you? Do you have any suggestions on artists that I like, and you know, ones that you think I should try to branch out to listen to as well? So, you know, let me know. I've been yapping this whole time, but let me know about your interests in artists, who's emerging, who's coming up hot. Also, let me know if you want me to do more on music. Not that this was very informative, but yeah, just let me know. Leave a comment below, subscribe if you are interested in this kind of low edit material. I am trying to kind of stay away from all of it, and I kind of just doing what I feel is right at the moment. But leave comments for suggestions and if you have any ideas for how I should set up these videos. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time, okay?